Hey, what's up, guys? I'm gonna start this as a stream, and currently there's nobody actually watching the stream, which is okay because the recording it in this format makes it nice and easy for me. So if you end up watching this later, that's great, and I hope you enjoy it. Uh, we're in November of 2021, so we're about I don't know 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks now from the release of Farming Simulator 22. And given that we're so close to the release, I thought, it'd be fun to go back, play some Farming Simulator 19, uh, vanilla basically, and see what it's like so that when 22 comes out, we can get a good comparison. I think that's always kind of fun. And I thought it would also be fun to go back to the Crest Valley map from Farming Simulator 17. So we're kind of combining two previous modes of Farming Simulator on here. So I'm going to go ahead and start a career and show you guys what is going on. So I'm going because Farming Simulator 19 has this new career choice. This didn't exist in 17. That you can do some pretty cool stuff with. I've played many games on Farming Simulator 19, and I will say, I usually do start from scratch. That gives you like $500,000 and no loan and nothing to start with. You just have the $500,000. I find Farm Manager just a bit too easy. You do have a $250,000 loan, but you start with 1.25 million. So if you pay your loan off right away, you still have $1 million, which, to be fair, in Farming Simulator, $1 million isn't a whole lot, but it allows you to start out with some either a lot of land or some pretty big equipment. Um, so I'm not going to do that one. I actually want to start this one as a new farmer. And the reason is this is going to start us out on the same farm we would have started out in FS17 on Crest Valley, right there in the middle of the map, with some starting equipment and not very much money. So this is the one we're going to choose. We could start on these other ones and choose all our own stuff, but I kind of want to do it this way. So of course we're going to choose the Crest Valley map from FS17. There's a little bit of a nostalgic map here. I had a lot of fun playing on this one, so we're going to go with it. And of course, we need to change our name here. And we'll go with the John Deere colors. Why not, right? I will show you guys here quickly the mods that I have because I did say we're going to play FS19 vanilla. Well, we're going to play it mostly vanilla. These are the mods that I have. Some of them are DLCs, as you can see, the Anderson, the Class Platinum expansion, stuff like that. Most of these mods that I have installed, I purposely left in here. They're quality of life mods for the most part. Additional field info, the display tool, for tool position, stuff like that. It just makes the game a little bit easier to play. Some of them, though, like course play does change the game. I'm gonna leave course play in there. I can't play Farming Simulator without course play. The fact that you still can't use a worker to shuttle grain from your silo to a storage point, to me is like this should have been in the game several versions ago. So I'm leaving course play and I'm not going to play without course play. GPS is also another one that we'll leave in here. This version of GPS called Guidance Steering in FS19, you actually have to pay for in the store. You have to pay $15,000 to add it to your machines. So I feel like that's fair for the kind of ability to make straight lines, which GPS allows you to do. So we're going to leave those ones in there. The rest of these, the only other one here is store deliveries, and I don't really know if I'll use this one very much. When I do, we can kind of talk about it, but it does charge you. It allows you to get equipment delivered pretty much anywhere on the map, but it charges you for it. So we'll see. If I use that, it'll only be for like fertilizer and seeds, so that I don't have to go pick them up at the store. So you can see we're playing a mostly vanilla Farming Simulator 19 here with just some quality of life mods added in. So let's go ahead and load this up. I'm hoping this will be fun and entertaining. We have, less than a month to go till Farming Simulator 22 comes out. Should be able to get a few. I'll probably just do live streams to make it easy. That way I don't have to take time doing video editing and everything. Videos can just go straight out. We'll just try to get some in before the release. Once FS22 comes out, I definitely want to do some playing, some streaming on that, and see what the new game is like, all the new features. I've been keeping up with Giant's uh, YouTube channel and the Gamescom things and stuff that's going on there, so I'm very excited for the release of Farming Simulator 22. Alright, so this is the Farming Simulator 19 version of the Farming Simulator 17 starting area. And you can see it's actually pretty faithfully created, I think. This shed is basically like it was. This shed here, I think in 17 was maybe a little bit bigger of a shed, and I do specifically remember the last bay in this shed was open, so you could drive through it. But that's okay, because this is, it's basically the same thing. We start with the same 3 fields you would have started with in FS17, okay? And we own this kind of land right here. Now, this Gold Crest Valley map, I thought they did very interestingly. In FS17, if you guys remember, you had the ability to buy fields, but the rest of the map, you could basically do whatever you wanted with. You didn't have to purchase it. So you could cut down trees, you could mow grass around all the fields without owning any land or paying for it. In this map, they have actually created kind of all the fields as their own buyables with no land around them. And then the land is actually a separate buyable section. So I think this is pretty cool. We should be able to get some fields, I feel like, fairly quickly. We only have $100,000. We're not going to spend too much of it right off the bat, because the first thing we want to do, as always, is get right into harvesting our field. There we go. Pop that on there. They didn't really line this New Holland up the field exceptionally well. That's okay though. We can do that on our own. There we go. And we're gonna hire a worker on this one. And the reason we're gonna hire a worker is because we have other stuff we want to get doing. So connect that. We'll get this guy going on this field here. And this is pretty much exactly how you would start out on FS17. You had these various tractors set up. Whoa, why are you trying to creep forward on me? Various tractors set up, ready to work on these fields, and you had to, you could go through the tutorial if you wanted to, but the idea here was basically to get everything going and working. Now, I will tell you guys, I have been playing. Let's go ahead and choose our crop first. What do we want to put in? I think we're gonna not do something that requires or uses straw. So that leaves. Let's stick with base game stuff. Let's do. I don't want to do canola. Let's do soybeans. It's not that new, but it's at least somewhat new. Okay, we'll go ahead and hire this out. There we go. So we got 3 workers working. See our money rocketing down rapidly. There we go. Now, what I'm going to do is unhire this worker and go ahead and take over. Yep, all good. So we got 2 workers working up on the fields there. I'll hire this, or I'll do this myself. That way I don't have to pay for a 3rd worker, at least for now. And I think we have silos, so we can store this harvest and not have to sell it right away. But you can see we start with, the New Holland TX32 combine. In FS17. Started with, I think, a Case 1660 combine, which I'm not really sure how that compares to this one in terms of like grain tank capacity and stuff like that, but they're both pretty much starting combines, so that seems about right. We also start with the Fiat Tractor here, which, seems like a pretty good starting tractor, and two Case 7210s. A pickup truck and a small trailer. Obviously, you've seen the cultivator and the seeder. We have some animal pins. Obviously, with the way FS19 works, you kind of have to own those animal pins, or you wouldn't be able to do animals. So I think I don't know if it would include those if I went on either of the two harder difficulty modes. I'm not sure, but it includes them in this one. So I don't know. That, if you look at FS17, that's pretty much how it worked. You could use those animal pins, or what the map already had built in as animal pins. So, like, that's fair. Let's see, what else do we have? Yep, we do have a silo, so that's good. We have a silo, a bunker silo somewhere. I'm going to assume that's at the cow's pen, but I'm not sure. And we have a vehicle workshop. And I stopped because I was in the menu and I didn't have cruise control set. So money is rocketing down. I remember that from starting out on FS17 all the time. I chose to do this on Gold Crest Valley because I thought it would be kind of fun to kind of mix FS19 and FS17 together into one kind of game right before FS22 comes out. So we're kind of, in a way, not exactly, but in a way, we're getting a look at two previous versions of Farming Simulator in what I think really should be one of the most anticipated releases of Farming Simulator probably ever. I mean, maybe since like FS09 or FS11, when the game was still pretty new. And the reason is Giants, has had essentially 3 years to develop this game. With the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously that delayed the release of what would normally be Farming Simulator 21. Up until this point, basically in the entire history of Farming Simulator, the new game has come out actually in even numbered years, but it's been named for odd numbered years. So, 17 came out in very late 2016, etc. But this one is coming out in 22 and named 22, so they're kind of keeping the coming out in an even year, but they've obviously named this one for an even year too, which is interesting. So with 3 years to develop this game, I really do have some high expectations, and I would hope that the rest of the Farming Simulator community does as well. I've been keeping a pretty close eye on a lot of Giants videos that they posted on YouTube, and it seems fairly promising. Giants is self-publishing the game for the first time this year, which I'm hoping means that we're going to get a little bit more of Giants paying attention to what the community is asking for and actually putting that into the game. I don't know how much the publishers of previous Farming Simulator games were pushing Giants to get games out, but I personally can look back when I first started playing Farming Simulator pretty heavily was Farming Simulator 2013. I started playing in 2011, but I got to know time playing Farming Simulator a lot, so it was the first one I really knew. And compared to 2011, they did make some changes that seemed good, so I was pretty happy with 2013. When 2015 came out, Farming Simulator 15, I guess, as they called it, I actually played very little of Farming Simulator 15. I was pretty disappointed with the game. I thought it was at best basically like a DLC to Farming Simulator 13. And I know Giants added some new things. Farming Simulator 15 was when forestry became part of the game. It was obviously a big addition, but when it first came out, it was horribly broken. And other than that, that was when I first saw that when Giants came out with new Farming Simulator games, their first initiative or first priority seemed to be getting lots of licensed equipment in the game. I don't remember, I think 2013 was the first one that came out for consoles, Farming Simulator 2013, but 2015 I believe was the first Farming Simulator game that released from the start with consoles. And I think that the fact that the game was going on to consoles pushed Giants, and maybe it was from the publisher's end, maybe it's from Giants' end, I don't know, pushed them to focus heavily on licensed vehicles in the game, in the base game, or in officially licensed DLCs. Because that, Farming Simulator 15 had like 400 licensed vehicles or something in it. I mean, it was some huge number. But a lot of the gameplay limitations that I had seen in 2013 were still there. I had played 2013, and as I got into the later stages of 2013, right before 2015 was coming out, I was playing with some pretty advanced mods. The mod community for 2013 was very healthy, and there were some really awesome mods. Things like the more realistic mod, which completely changed the way that tractors felt while you were driving them, and a bunch of other stuff that made the game honestly feel more like a farming simulation game. I've always been fairly critical of the title of Farming Simulator, in that for a game called Farming Simulator, this actually simulates farming fairly poorly, in my opinion. I mean, we're playing FS19 right now. There's still no seasons in this game. How can you build a farming simulation game and not have a calendar or seasons? It's almost mind-boggling to me, but it's been that way since the beginning. There has never been seasons in the Farming Simulator game. Since, I think, 17. If it came out earlier, I didn't know about it in 15, but for Farming Simulator 17, you had the release of a mod called Seasons that actually added seasons into the game, which is this crazy concept to have seasons in a farming simulation game. So anyway, as 17 came out and as 19 came out, I did think that those were better new versions of the game. However, I've still always been left wanting more. The release of every new Farming Simulator game thing, I really feel like Giants could have done more, or I wish they would have spent their time developing other gameplay aspects than the ones that they did. Again, they focus pretty heavily, in my opinion, on equipment and officially licensed equipment, and they don't seem to focus very heavily on actual new gameplay additions. So one of the things that always comes to mind for me when I talk about new gameplay additions is the idea of seasons. It's a farming game. There should be seasons in the game. Like that to me it goes without explanation. In Farming Simulator 19, we got new crops. I think we got, if I remember correctly, cotton and oats, maybe, and was horses, I think, came out in Farming Simulator 19. So you did get the addition of a new gameplay mechanic with horses. Like you could ride the horses. That was new. But as far as oats go, it's a new crop, but oats act just like wheat or barley. You know, that you harvest it and it leaves a straw swath for you to bale. Cotton, although cotton brought us some new equipment, new officially licensed equipment, it's just another crop. It was more of the same driving machines up and down the field, and it left me wishing again that Giants would have worked on actually new gameplay mechanics as opposed to just new equipment or new props that brought us new equipment. You go back to FS17, sugar beet was added. And again, it's a new crop, but it didn't really add anything new to the game because sugar beets are treated so similarly to potatoes. All it did was add some new equipment. It didn't actually add any new gameplay. So with FS22, they're adding things like seasons to the base game, production chains. So now not only can you sell your harvest as you always have been able to, but you can buy production facilities that will actually utilize your harvest to make kind of the next tier of products. So you might take wheat or barley, something like that, a grain, and take it to a mill that then produces flour, which you can then sell the flour. Or you can take that to the next level of production and make yet another product. And so this is a gameplay mechanic that has not really existed in the base game of Farming Simulator. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm of course hoping that it works well and intelligently. That's always a big question, but give the benefit of the doubt for right now and say, given that it's such a hyped new mechanic, it's going to work, hopefully. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. Seasons, again, seasons, for the last two games, 17 and 19, I played with seasons. And once the seasons mod came out, I basically didn't play without it. It does completely change the game. I mean, it's hard to even explain in a video how much it changes the game. It's astronomical. And it actually brings you into a farming game as the way it should be, in my opinion, with seasons. You actually have to think about when you're planting and harvesting crops because that's how farming works. So I'm excited to see how that's going to work. And I know I recently saw that based on community feedback after some of the, I believe the Gamescom videos or some other videos that they put up showing off the seasons, a lot of the community voiced some feedback that we should be able to choose how long the seasons are. And I think when it was first shown off, each season, quote unquote season, Giants had basically broken a farming year down into 12 groups, or 12 divisions, if you will. So basically 1 month. And a lot of the community complained maybe or asked for the ability to change that. And Giants actually has implemented that according to some of the videos I've seen and stuff. And they've gone with options to customize your month length, I guess is the best way to say it. I mean, they originally divided it into 12, so that would be months. And apparently you can make each month up to 28 days long, which would be basically pretty close to the length of an actual month. So I think that's pretty cool. The fact that Giants is self-publishing, my big hope was that they would listen to the community a little bit more, spend a little bit more time developing actual gameplay stuff in the game and make the base game better, and kind of leave, I always wish they would leave different brands of equipment up to the modders, because honestly, if you look throughout the modding community, easiest mods to make, apparently, it looks like to me, because there's the most of them, are vehicles and equipment. That's always the mods that there are the most of. So you know, I wish Giants would. I've always wished Giants would spend less of their time making new vehicles, new brands of vehicles, and spend more of their time changing the way that the game is played. So I like seeing that. Initial impressions would say under this new self-publishing that they are paying a little bit more attention to the community. I know I've seen some in the video, some really good interaction with the community from Giants. So I would say it seems promising to me. But, you know, it's November 3rd today. So we are 19 days away from the release of Farming Simulator 22. And all our questions, I guess, will be answered at that point. We'll play vanilla FS22 for quite a while because it always takes a little while for mods to come out, especially the big game-changing ones like I really like to see. Guidance steering or GPS, seasons, things like that. They always take a little while to come out. Although, we shouldn't have to worry about seasons coming out because seasons are already built into the game. What? Seasons change so much other... Whoa. Was my trailer full? Oh, it is. I didn't even realize I still had crop in my combine. That's funny. Let me change one setting real quick. It's always popping me into the cab, and I would rather not be jumping into the cab every time. What was I saying? Oh, seasons. There were some other aspects of seasons that I really, really enjoyed. I thought were really fantastic additions to the game, like the way that it changed how animals work, which I have to assume is not going to come into the Giants version of seasons. Their version of seasons is really just going to implement seasons in the game. So this audio, tractor audio, seems quite loud to me, so let's crank that down a little bit. Hopefully that's a little better. I highly doubt we're going to see any of the kind of animal changes that we saw in the most recent version of Seasons. I personally, and this is just it's personal playstyle, I really enjoyed the animals, the beef cattle. You know, the fact that you could do dairy cattle as well as beef cattle, and you could raise, basically fatten cows up for sale. I thought that was a really fun gameplay mechanic. I also, they changed the way the animals work quite a bit. They made the animal portion of the game much more complex, and I thought that was great. It brought a spice to animals that doesn't necessarily exist in the base game. I love the animals in the base game. It's a nice addition. It's a nice change from just driving your tractor up and down the field. But they're really, really simple. Different types of pig and cow and chicken operations I thought was really cool. You could have chickens that you raise for meat or eggs or both. You know, like this kind of stuff. This is really cool. And I'm hoping that Giants will build in some more of that as they continue to develop the game and go through the self-publishing process. I'm hoping that they'll start to look at some of these really popular mods that come out and mods that actually really add elements of gameplay, and they'll start to incorporate them. I think you're seeing some of that with FS22 and the incorporation of seasons. Productions were, in my opinion, basically came from some of the global company mods that were out there for FS19. So I think there's a case to be made that Giants are doing some of that, and they only have so many people and so much time to develop the game. So, you know, I don't want to harp on too much, but with 3 years to develop this game, I do expect a lot. And so far, we're seeing a lot. So hopefully that's we're not disappointed when FS22 actually comes out. All right. So we got that field harvested. We put it in the silo. I wasn't really going to worry about selling it at this point because we're not really hurting for money, and hopefully we can wait for a great demand of some sort. Also, I need to activate the enhanced vehicle mod because I am so used to playing with the enhanced vehicle mod that I keep hitting my button to change my gears, to go backwards, and it's not doing anything. And this is some really, really awful trailer reversing going on here. This is pretty bad. Let's see if I can act together here. There we go. That's a little better. I've done this in real life, not on a farm, but with trailers before, and I've done this so many times in the game. That was pretty embarrassing. Alright, there we go. So, we got the harvest done. Let's go ahead and take a look. We haven't even looked at our silos to see what we have. Because we started on easy, we are of course going to start with some grain in the silos. So we now have 23,000 liters of wheat. We have, looks like 300,000 liter capacity in our silos, so that's pretty good. We have 10,000, almost 11,000 liters of barley, 12,000 of oats, 10,000 canola, 13,700 sunflowers, which that's a good one. 10,500 soybeans and 11,000 corn, and that should be it. We shouldn't have anything else. Oh, we do. We have no. Oh, yes. This map adds, I believe, is rye. One of these is rye, and one of them is triticale, maybe. Anyway, settings. I haven't even changed my settings. All of this looks good. Traffic, yep. Automatic engine start. I prefer that to be off. We're leaving all of these on kind of buy, so we don't have to worry about filling up. We are going to change fuel usage to default, though, because I think the base game fuel usage is just a little too low anyway. We'll leave plant growth on fast. We'll just get some stuff going. I'm going to leave plant withering off just as we hopefully grow and buy more fields. We're going to leave that off just to make sure we can get our harvest in. But crop destruction on, periodic plowing on, lime on, and weeds on. So a lot of we're playing with mostly harder settings. Even though we started the game on the easy mode. The only reason I really started the game on easy was because I wanted to start with this farm kind of intact. I didn't want to have to go build it myself. Let's check on. Wow, he's almost done with this already. Nice work. How big are these fields? That was one thing you didn't really get in FS17. The field info, more, I forget what the mod is called, but that adds more info to this little box here, which I really love. So, field 14 is 3 acres. All right, that's a good size field for us to start with there. I remember 12 is larger. I don't remember how large, but it is larger. What do we got here? 4. All right, so we got a 3 acre field, a 4 acre field, and little field 15 over here is probably what, 2 acres, I would say. Come on, we're slow. This makes me want to turn on the higher running speeds. Yep, just under 2 acres. All right, so, all right, we got the harvest done. Let me go put the combine away. Put that in. Enhanced vehicle on because that's how I like to play. Oh, right, engine start. We turned that off. I have to turn it back on. I heard an engine running, so I thought I had already turned it on, but the engine running was the Fiat here. My Fiat. There we go. Oh, look at those backing skills. That's much better than my backing up the trailer. Alright. Try to tuck this in right tight to the side. Without hitting the header on the concrete. There we go. Park our stuff up. Alright. Go. Now, I do want to bale up that straw. And I think, let's go check real quick. We do have a workshop, which is fantastic. Workshop in 19, whenever I was starting my own farms, you know, from scratch or whatever. Workshop was always one of those things I bought pretty early on because the ability to change tires on your tractors and things like that without having to go all the way to the store and without having to pay that fee is a big deal. So here you'll see GPS. Again, this is a mod. This is something that's not in the base game. It should be in the base game in my opinion because, let's be real, pretty much all modern tractors have GPS capabilities. So this tractor would not have GPS capabilities. But if we choose to add it, you can see it's $15,000. So, you know, it's not super cheaty in my opinion because you do have to pay for it. This does have some tire options, but it does not have a front loader option. Don't think either of our case tractors, let's see, that would be the 72 Pro series, 7210 Pro, that's what we have. These do not have front loads either. So we have no way to pick up bales, but I do want to bale the straw. And another kind of early game thing I like to do on this particular map is to cut these trees down and start mowing these little grass areas and create silage bales. It's a pretty good way to kind of earn a little bit of money in the beginning of the game. So I think we're going to do that, and because we don't have that much money, we're probably going to lease some equipment to do it. What should we do first? Should we do the baling? Yeah, let's do the baling. The log cutting is, you know, I've done it so many times. I'm not sure if I should do it on screen in a stream or if I should just do it off stream and come back with the trees cut down. Generally what I do, I'm going to pull my mouse up here, is cut down this clump of trees here, this clump of trees here. In 17 actually I never bothered with this clump of trees here because this ground was so bumpy that it was almost impossible to mow and bale, but it looks pretty flat here. So cut down those 3 groups of trees. I also sometimes, or I'll usually mow this area too, so I might have to cut down that tree. And then eventually I get around to cutting down these trees as well, just to get them out of the way. And then that gives you this whole area to mow, these 2 areas to mow, and this. And out of these areas you can actually, or at least you could in 17, you can get a decent amount of bales for your fields. So I don't know, that's something I think we will have to do. I'm just waiting for this guy to finish because he's basically done. Look at that. Look at that. Nice job. We have like a 200 and something horsepower tractor running a cultivator that probably requires 100. So we'll probably want to be upgrading equipment fairly soon. I am, you know, full disclosure, going to take absolute full advantage of, let's turn this off. Take full advantage of the leasing system. I'm sure there will be disagreement on this, but I fully believe that the leasing system is one of the great tools in FS19. I think it's pretty well balanced, in my opinion. So I have no problem using it, especially in the base game. I think if you're not going to keep the equipment for quite a long time, it actually takes you quite a while to earn your money back on the equipment if you buy it. So we'll do some leasing. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if I'd really like to do square bales of straw, but we are going to do grass as well, which means we're going to be wrapping. So this wrapper, which can do square bales, is $54,000, whereas this wrapper, which can do round bales, is only $19,000. And this one, which can do also only round bales, is $22,000. So that makes me think we really should go with round bales, which is fine. It's not a problem. It's just that round bales are harder to stack. I would prefer to do square bales, but what's the difference in leasing a bale wrapper? So it's $2,700 versus less than 1,000. Yeah, we're gonna have to go with this. So we are going to now. We don't have much money to start with. However, we're going to buy this baler because we're going to keep this baler for quite a while and we're going to use it a lot. So, I've not actually sat down and done the financials of this, but just thinking through it fairly quickly and putting a little bit of numbers to it, to me it makes most sense to buy something if you're going to A, use it a lot, and B, keep it for a while. Because when you lease, obviously you pay that upfront initial leasing fee, which is, just lost money when you lease. I mean, but you also have to pay a per hour. So per hour that you actually use the machine, not that you have it, but that you are actually using it, you have to pay an additional fee. And then per day that you have it, whether you use it or not, you also have to pay an additional fee. So if it's something that you're going to keep for a while, you're going to pay a lot of daily fees. If it's something that you're going to use a lot, you're going to pay a lot of per hour leasing fees. So with equipment that you're going to keep, that you're going to use, in my opinion, it makes sense to just go ahead and buy it. If you are not going to use it very much, or you're not going to have it for very long, it makes sense, I think, to lease it. But, if we use this baler we just bought as a good example. So we just purchased this for what, $53,000, $49,000. $49,000. To lease it would have been $2,500. And you can see base cost $980. That's just a fee you're paying for leasing, basically. But this per operating hour is $1,000 and per day is $500. But it's only $2,500 initially to lease it. And then $1,000 more for every hour you use it, $500 more for every day you have it. If you do the math on this, it's going to take a while to get up to $49,000. But you'll say you do get money back when you sell it. And that's true. So if we go look at the one we just bought, having not used it at all, it's already worth $36,000. We'll call it 37. So right off the bat, for just because you purchased it, the thing has already lost value. It's now, if I do my math correct, about $12,000 less. So if you think about leasing, obviously the numbers are going to change with more expensive or cheaper equipment, but I think the percentages are probably relatively the same. You have $12,000 worth of leasing fees that you could use up to where it actually makes sense to lease this piece of equipment. So, it was what, $2,500 to lease it initially, and then another $1,000 per hour and $500 per day. So if you did it all in one day, you could get $2,500. Let's see, you could put pretty close to 10 hours on that machine before you would, before it would really make sense, if you think about it, to actually go and buy it. You could keep it for like 20 something days, never using it, before it makes sense to actually go buy it financially. So anyway, I mean, that's the little mental games I've gone through when leasing versus buying. I know there's always a lot of discussion on it, leasing versus buying, in every YouTubers Let's Play that I see. People are always arguing whether the person should lease or buy equipment. We will be leasing equipment in this because of that reason. I mean, we're going to get a lot of use out of the baler. I fully intend to get 10 hours worth of time out of this baler, and we will have it for multiple days. So when you combine the two, we're going to get our money's worth out of buying this baler. But there's a lot of other equipment which we will certainly lease. The equipment to take down and process the trees, that's certainly going to be leased, because if we do forestry again, it's probably not going to be for a while. Alright, hook up to that. I saw that my other helper completed their task. Perfect. So this is now seeded in soybeans. Oh, and I also, one of the reasons that my money was going down so rapidly was, and you guys probably already caught on to this, was because I do have the helpers on seed, fertilizer, and all that stuff. So as opposed to the seed going down here, the helper is just paying for that. I will probably change that at some point. I really actually do like changing that. However, I don't have any way to load pallets onto a trailer right now. I have no front loader or anything like it. So we're gonna have to change. We're gonna have to have some before we can really do that. I'm not driving this seeder all the way to the store, just to pick up seed. All right, what else should we do? We did soybeans. I guess we could do, we already harvested a wheat, so you know what, let's do oats. Oats is a new crop for 19. Let's go ahead and do it. We'll do it in this field. It does put down straw, but we're going to have a baler, so that's all right. And we will hire this job out again and go. There we go. All right, back to here. One thing, and I remember this from playing 17 quite a bit. The trip to the store. Oh, I hate this. The store is so far away from your farm. Oh, I hate it. With 19, Ravenport, so the quote-unquote American map, was kind of like that. It was a decent haul from where you started. If you started on the same mode we did, the easy mode, New Farmer or whatever it's called. If you started on that, you were kind of, you know, well, the store was on one side of the bottom of the map and you were on the other, so it was a decent little haul to the store there too. But if you were on Felsburn, where you started to the store was not that far. So in this game, man, it is a haul to the store, especially in a Fiat with a 15-mile-per-hour top speed. Oh man, this is brutal. Oh well. This is one of the reasons, by the way, that I left. So there's two what I would call really game-changing mods that I left in, even though we're doing a quote-unquote vanilla kind of let's play here. I left course play in, and I already explained that, and I left store deliveries in. And one of the big reasons is when you have to go buy seed or fertilizer or something like that, this trip to the store on this map in particular is so annoying. This gets so old so quickly, especially to pick up seeds or fertilizer or something like that. I'll probably do it quite a bit for equipment, but seeds and fertilizer, you know, I live in an area of the United States where farming is, you know, probably the primary economy. So I'm fairly familiar, although I'm not a farmer myself, I'm fairly familiar with how a lot of this stuff works. Nowadays, if you buy a piece of equipment, the dealership delivers it. You don't walk in. I mean, you can, but you generally do not walk into the dealership, hop in your combine, and then drive it home. The dealership will deliver it out to you. And the same goes for seed and things like that. I mean, a lot of days now, fertilizing, a lot of farmers hire that out to the companies anyway. But seed can be delivered to you. They typically don't deliver seed to you on pallets anymore. They usually come in seed tenders, which Farming Simulator 19 does have. But the other thing that gets me is on a map like Crest Valley, especially, where it is so far to the store. You know, I mean, you could use a front-loading tractor so that you have a front loader and you could pull a trailer on it, and all that would work out pretty well. But if you were to buy pallets of something from a store like that, they would have some way to load it on the trailer for you at the store. So then you would just have to worry about having some kind of front-loading mechanism to unload it when you got it back to your farm. And that, you know, if you want to do that in the game, you basically have to stick a front loader or a pallet, or what do they call those things? A forklift, or, you know, a skid steer or something like that at the store. But you're still paying for it. You're still paying the daily upkeep costs for that piece of equipment. So the store delivery mod, to me, just, again, it's one of those features that I honestly feel like should be built into the base game. When you buy a new piece of equipment or something like that, you should have the option to have it delivered to you for a fee. It's not free, right? It costs money to have it delivered. There's a convenience charge there, if you will. That's fine, and that's what the store deliveries mod does, which is why I use it. Because for a fee, a certain percentage of the purchase cost, it will deliver your stuff to you. So we may use that in this Let's Play for mostly for things like seed and fertilizer, but we'll see how it goes. That's a very much a quality of life in Farming Simulator thing, not having to drive to the store all the time to pick your stuff up. And with my, you know, very few people that watch any of my videos or channel at this point, Giants is certainly not going to listen to anything I have to say. But the ability to have deliveries for a fee is really something that should be added into the game. I mean, that is, I don't know, maybe they operate differently in Europe or something, but that is commonplace here in the Midwest United States. I mean, a dealership or a seed delivery company, seed company, fertilizer company, whatever, I mean, they bring the stuff to you. You can go pick it up yourself if you want to, of course, but they bring stuff to you. I mean, my dad bought a John Deere riding lawnmower, and because it was under warranty, they serviced it at the beginning of every season. You know, late winter, early spring, usually, hopefully, before the grass started growing and actually needed mowing, they would service the lawnmower to keep it in warranty. And the place he bought it from was they came out and picked it up every spring. They brought a trailer out, picked it up, took it back to their shop, did what they needed to do, and then they delivered it back to him. I mean, this is the kind of service that is just normal around here. So the fact that there's no ability to have your equipment delivered to you in this game for all of, I don't know, 17 and 19, I've thought that was a huge shortcoming of the game. But I don't know. I'm not really sure if I am in the minority or not of people who would really like to see Giants spend more time on gameplay mechanics and gameplay changes over just equipment. I'm curious to see. I know they released the sell sheet, or not sell sheets. I'm sorry. Now I'm in work mode. But the stat sheets, fact sheets. That's the word I'm looking for, on equipment. You know, up to the lead up of every Farming Simulator game, they release these fact sheets and kind of reveal to you what equipment is going to be in the game. And we've seen some new equipment, some new additions. So certainly Giants has spent some time, at least, in developing new equipment. And, I mean, it is a farming game. Of course, equipment is one of the huge draws of this game. I understand that. I know they're going to spend their time doing that. But to me, the hype around what vehicles are or are not in this game hasn't been as big. So I'm hoping, again, fingers crossed, right? Like, knock on wood, all of the superstitious things you can do. I'm hoping that that means Giants has spent more time on gameplay stuff than they have in past games, and maybe a little bit less time on just new equipment. But again, I don't know. We'll see. We're up to the point now. I mean, I think with 19, again, there was like 400 officially licensed pieces of equipment in FS19. And then you have DLCs come out, like the Anderson DLC, the Kloss Platinum expansion, where you get even more officially licensed, you know, made by Giants equipment. So it wouldn't surprise me if by the end of FS19 it was more like 500 officially licensed pieces of equipment in the game, which is really cool. But again, the modding community on Farming Simulator is really good. Like, they can come up with equipment mods. And I hope to see some significant gameplay changes. Grab this little bit here. Also want to try to grab this bit over here before I forget it. I'm not going to worry about getting every single last piece of straw off this field, but I don't want to miss too much. Straw may not be worth a lot, but you know, there are some people who spend the time doing the financial analysis of Farming Simulator games, and I'm very happy for those people, because very thankful for those people. That's the kind of thing I would do. I would sit here and spend time doing the testing and do the financial analysis, which crop gets you the most money per acre, especially when you factor in equipment costs, because of course potatoes and sugar beets get you tons of money per acre, but you have to buy some really expensive equipment to be able to do them. Anyway, there are people out there that do it. I'm very thankful for them, because that's the kind of stuff I would do myself, but they save me the time of having to do it. And looking at some of those, I've seen, you know, wheat, barley, that kind of stuff. These are types of crops that have been in the game for a long time, and they early in the game, a lot of times people tend to shy away from them, I would say, because the prices for them are so low in comparison to things like soybeans and canola. But when you look at the financial analysis of those crops, because soybeans and canola, things like that, they're higher priced, yes, but they yield less per acre, so it somewhat washes out there. But what I have noticed in that is, if you don't do the straw for wheat and barley and things like that, it isn't worth it. The lower price per liter, per 1,000 liters, whatever, does mean that just the crop itself is not nearly as worth doing as something like soybeans or canola, crops that have a higher price but don't necessarily yield any straw. But when you do the straw, they become much more even price-wise. I actually think it's pretty cool. It may not be very realistic, but I think it's pretty cool in the base game. With the base game crops, I think they're fairly well balanced. When you compare things like wheat, barley, which I would put wheat and barley as basically the same category of crop. They both are higher yields, lower price, and they produce straw. And when you add in that straw and you compare it to things like corn, not corn for silage, but corn just sold as grain, soybeans and sunflowers, things like that, they're actually all pretty well balanced. In terms of the money you can make per acre, they all come out pretty even, which I think is really cool. It means you can really do whatever crops you want and not have to feel like you're missing out on money. Potatoes and sugar beets are significantly more I don't know, profitable may not be the right word, because of course for profit you also have to factor in equipment costs, but they yield you much more per acre than any of the other crops do. So in terms of money, they're both very low priced, but they both have very high yields. So you end up with, I think it's like double amount of money per acre from the standard crops, which is, again, I think it's very interesting. And it makes sense from a gameplay standpoint. I don't know how much sense it makes from a real life standpoint, but it makes sense from a gameplay standpoint, because to harvest, to work either of those crops really, you have to buy specialized equipment. You're buying equipment that's only for potatoes or only for sugar beets. Whereas the crops, you're buying equipment that can be used for a lot of stuff. A combine harvester to do wheat can also do barley, canola, sunflowers, corn for grain. So there's much more versatility in that. You're much more likely to make your money back faster on something like a combine harvester, because there are a lot of crops that you can harvest with. Whereas a potato harvester, you're only harvesting potatoes. Potatoes and sugar beet both. Also, both those harvesters are also smaller. In the base game, you have headers on combine harvesters that go up to like 13.5 meters working with, or something like that. It's pretty big. Potatoes and sugar beet, the max is, I don't really remember. I think it's like 6 meters maybe, or something. So it takes more time. It takes specialized equipment, which is very expensive. So I think Giants did a good job of balancing that by making them worth more per acre. Makes a lot of sense. I will say, and I like to give credit where credit is due. I think Giants do a great job of making a farming game. A farming game that appeals largely to, that appeals, I think, best, maybe is what I should say. Oh, I'm used to manual attach. Oops, here we go. That appeals best, I think, to the casual farming gamer. Because, if you look through Farming Simulator, and Giants, the developers at Giants have even said it, so I'm not being, overly harsh here. Farming Simulator is a very simplified farming experience. And I think that appeals to the casual gamer quite a bit, because it's not overly complicated. You don't have to think overly hard about what you're doing. The game is well balanced and all that. So Giants does a great job of making a farming game. What I don't necessarily think they do such a good job of is making a farming simulator. There's a lot of things about actual farming that are not well represented in this game. All right, so to move the bales, we need some kind of front-loading device. So let's take a look. Okay, the cheapest front loader is $60,000, which is going to be about $3,000 to lease it. Oh, any telehandlers are going to be, well, telehandlers aren't actually that much more expensive. So $3,500 to lease that. Okay. A wheel loader is going to be significantly more expensive. Yep. And let's see. That won't do us any good. So the only other real option would be a skid steer at $1,700. I think we're going to go for this. We're going to... Oh, you know what, though? We're going to be doing bales a decent amount. We really need something that we can use. Top speed on this is 11 miles per hour. On a front loader, it's about 24 miles per hour. I'm tempted to go with the front loader just because, one, I know in this game the skid steers are notoriously bad about weight balancing. In real life, a skid steer can lift a pretty good amount of weight, for instance, on like a pallet. In the game, they tip over extremely easy. So I'm tempted to go with something like a front loader, which should be a little bit better balanced. But we are most definitely going to lease the front loader because I just plain don't have the money to buy it. Now this is something I probably really would want to buy because we are going to make good use of it over time. I mean, we're going to be doing probably quite a few bales. So I really would prefer to buy it, but I just don't have the money. I think we must use this front loader stuff. So, oh, let's see. Bale fork it is, I guess, right? Hopefully this FZ and FZ. Okay. See, this is 9407S MLAT and MLT. Okay, we gotta go back real quick. I want to make sure we get the right attachments because, whoops, we do not have a telehandler. I wish. KL30. See, where's the stuff for that? Nothing mentions KL30. Well, since it's called a front loader, I'm going to hope that it's in the front loader category, but I guess we'll find out. We can buy this because even if we get a front-loading tractor later, it'll still work for it. Okay, here we are. We're about at the end of this stream. Got to keep going here in just a couple minutes, but I want to make sure that this is going to work first. Please work. Yes. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. So that's going to be it for the stream today, guys. I hope you find this enjoyable. I hope you guys enjoy this kind of, what do you want to call it, mashup of Farming Simulator 17 and Farming Simulator 19 as a lead up to the much anticipated Farming Simulator 22. If you guys do enjoy it, make sure you like, subscribe if you would like to. I'll continue to do some streams leading up to Farming Simulator 22, so if you do subscribe, you can get those notifications for when we go on a stream. Otherwise, yeah, I hope to see you guys back, or see you on the next stream.